This is Dr. Daniel Paul with Easy Orthopedics, and today I'm going to talk about when you need an arm cast or when you need a leg cast. So the short story is you need an arm cast or a leg cast, or the only time more or less you would have one is when you break your arm or break your leg. Now, it depends on what bone you break, how bad it's broken, or we say how much it's displaced, which just means how much it's moved, and also your age. So with a lot of kids, especially if the kid's under 6 years old or even younger, you can really get away with casting a lot of things that you might not be able to cast in adults. So for instance, if a young child breaks their forearm and the bones aren't even on top of each other, they're kind of overlapping like this, you can cast that and it actually heals pretty well. Now, and if an adult was to break the forearm and have that same sort of break where the bones are like this, it won't heal well and they'll need surgery. So generally speaking, casts are used more in the younger population than the older population, meaning that the growth plates are still open and there's some potential for remodeling. But some things that you can use casts for are if you break your wrist, sometimes the scaphoid bone, although you'll have to be in a cast for a very long period of time, usually in the orders of months. Commonly, it's used for distal radius fractures. That would also, people would call that a broken wrist. If in kids, you can get away with kind of a lot with casts. In adults, it really can't be displaced too much, but if it's not, then you can cast for that. In kids and stuff, you can get into elbow fractures, and some of them are stable and some of them aren't. You can cast some you can't. Once you start getting up into shoulders, you can't really cast a shoulder. If somebody breaks their humerus, you can use something called a coaptation splint and then a fracture brace, but it's not really a cast. I mean, the difference between a cast and a splint is a splint doesn't go all the way around, it just kind of goes part way around. And the reason we put splints on first is because after someone breaks a bone, it creates a lot of swelling. And if you have a cast surrounding it fully, it won't be good. There needs to be some room to expand. So normally we put a cast on for 1 to 2 weeks, and after the swelling comes down, a splint on for 1 to 2 weeks, and after the swelling comes down, we'll put a cast on. So that's most of the stuff you can cast for arms. For legs, again, with kids, you can get away with a lot more. If you break your ankle, a lot of people are shying away from ankle casts. Sometimes they'll use like big old walker boots or things like that if it's a stable ankle fracture. If it's not, then you'll need surgery. If you break your tibia or your shin bone, if it's non-displaced, you can get away with a long leg cast. Most of the time that's going to be surgical. In a kid, you can cast that as well. And then once you get up into your femurs, I guess you could call them leg casts. Then you're getting into hip spica casts, where the cast actually goes all the way around the hip, and those are pretty complicated and really should only be placed by a pediatric orthopedic surgeon or a general orthopedic surgeon who has a lot of experience with hip spica casts. And you can only use those casts in young kids. That is not something we use in adults. We used to put people in body casts all the time, but then technology got better and we're able to fix things with surgery. So that's why you don't see adults roaming around with lots of casts anymore, even though they sometimes do. So I was able to answer your question about when you should get an arm cast or get a leg cast. If you have any questions I didn't answer, feel free to leave them in the comments below and I'll do my best to respond. Know that I can't respond to your specific medical condition, or I can't give medical advice to you specifically. If you like this content, we put out new videos every week, so please like and subscribe, and thanks for watching.